The Voting Rights Act is something we all grow up learning about. It's something that is a symbol of the national commitment to not allowing racial discrimination in the ballot box. And more importantly, it had been held up by the Supreme Court in numerous instances to be the gold standard for when Congress could appropriately act to protect against racial discrimination in voting. We all know that the 15th Amendment changed the relationship between the federal government and the states with respect to the very, very narrow issue of voting and discrimination. And in that instance, it said that Congress's power was very broad and that Congress deserved a great deal of deference. And that decision was complicated and problematic for those that study what it is that the courts do, because it didn't seem to have a great deal of coherence, given the vast record that was before the court to demonstrate what Congress had gone through, which makes it very hard for folks to try and figure out what the appropriate next steps are. So from a functional standpoint, the Supreme Court decision was complicated and difficult because it didn't give us a good map forward for how is it that Congress can protect against racial discrimination and make sure that when a person steps into the ballot box, they won't be discriminated against because of the color of their skin. It was also problematic because there is contemporaneous evidence of the fact that it is still needed. I do not believe, and I vigorously dispute, the idea that Americans think that it takes fire hoses and death threats to mean that there's a problem. And I think we need to acknowledge that racial discrimination can take a lot of forms. We have grown as a country, and it cannot be that that is what is the kind of extremity that's required in order for us to decide that we as Americans are going to tolerate it.
That sounds very damning if what you think the Pennsylvania governor had in mind was, okay, well, this ensures that we're going to be able to keep some people from voting. It doesn't sound so damning if what he was talking about was this will keep the Democrats from stealing the election in this state.
One of the things, again, that I would like to leave this audience with is the idea that if we want to have the best elections in the world, which I think we do, we need to make sure that we provide the kind of training and resources that are required to do them. And that means giving our election administrators the best kind of technology, giving them the best kind of training, making sure that they're able to hire the people that they need to do, and making sure that we make the business of running elections something that happens year-round, not something that just happens in 3 weeks right before elections, because it's hard to do anything that massive that quickly. If you think about voters as customers, then election administrators have probably the largest consumer base of any other industry in the country. And if we want, as voters, to get good customer service, we need to make sure that we have the building blocks to do so.